Hello, Justine. And with me, I have Justine Montgomery. She currently works as a design system specialist at Stripe. Previously, she worked at Preply. But the amazing part is how she got into the design systems, because just 3 years ago, you were watching the conference and actually you were so enthusiastic to join the design systems community and start to work in design systems that you made so much effort that you're here now with us presenting your tips for design systems portfolio. And I would like to hear your story. And I think that everyone here would love to hear how you came here.
Thanks, Romina. It's so nice to be here. And yeah, it's been quite a journey. I'd say a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of dedication, a lot of enthusiasm, sort of also not letting people get me down on where I want to be and setting goals for myself. So I actually started as a graphic designer and I was self-taught how to design products because I moved into product design, and I sort of used actually Material UI for the first time and then stumbled upon Atlassian design. And that sort of opened me up to the world of product design and how to correctly build products. So I actually had system thinking from the get-go, which I think put me in a really good position. And I really fell in love with design systems, creating components, and eventually just dedicated a lot of time towards it and learn about tokens, learn about how to build things correctly. And yeah, just a lot of passion, I guess.
I heard not long ago that if you want results, you have to make a lot of exposure hours. And I think that's true for everything that you want to achieve. And really love that you are a living example of this, And I met you last year for the first time, but even if I look back for 1 year, you've grown so much. So really enthusiastic to see, it's inspiring to see people that put a lot of effort and work. But outside of design systems, what are you doing? What's your passion? I know you live in Barcelona, but what's your favorite thing to do?
I actually DJ as a hobby, I suppose, in clubs or at some festivals. I also illustrate for fun. So you'll actually see a few illustrations popping up in my talk today, which will be super fun to show. Yeah, and just spending time learning music production is another hobby I've picked up that I really want to put some time into. So if anyone there is into music production, hit me up on Slack.
Okay, so I think we can start with musings around design systems and portfolios. I'm here if you will need something. Just wave to another computer and let's dive into the portfolios.
Thank you. Cool, thank you. Cool. So I spoke a little bit about how I got into design systems, and also referring to a lot of resources online really got me into the place where I wanted to be. This is actually a picture of me at Into Design System conference. I think about 3 years ago. So I actually attended in my house and was part of facilitators, and it was really fun to learn more about design systems from experts in the industry. I sorry. Yeah, and I actually landed my first role as a design system specialist from having about zero experience. It was all self-taught, and yeah, I just really love design systems, and I think my passion really brought me to where I am today. Treating your case study as a passion project and not a chore. And this is definitely a mindset that you need to change. I changed this perspective for myself, and it really opened up a lot of doors, especially working in the agency field. I was actually contracting a lot of my career, and I didn't have exposure to design systems. I didn't have exposure working on different systems, nor was exposed to people who build systems. And my way of doing that was through the community. And that was the design system community that really opened up those doors for me. Since I changed this sort of perspective, I really enjoyed building my case studies. And this was something that really shone through my work. I did a post on LinkedIn not so long time ago, and it was to get some feedback from my network on, what do you want from this talk? And essentially, these were some of the results. So where to start, case study ideas, structuring your case studies, and also getting locked into NDAs, which is obviously the most popular one. NDAs suck, but it's definitely not something that you need to get stopped by at all. So where to start? I rate to always start by your case study. You can actually apply to a role and land a design system role with just a case study. You don't need a fancy website. You don't need to spend hours on UI designs making it so pretty. You just need to focus on the problems, focus on the designs that you are putting out. And that's definitely a good place to start. Along my talk, I'll definitely cover a few of the topics that are mentioned here. So some of the ideas, some of the structuring, and also how to get through being locked up in NDAs. When you are designing your case study, you need to keep some stakeholders in mind, because essentially the person who is looking at your work online is a person that's going to be hiring you. And if you're just designing UI designs and putting up artboards, you're only going to be speaking to one sort of stakeholder. To keep these stakeholders in mind, will definitely pinpoint on different areas and who you need to target within your case study and what sort of content you need to put in. So number one being the recruiter. So the recruiter, this could be in many types of forms. Some companies have in-house recruiters that go looking out. Some people get hired to go and look for portfolios online. Some recruiters go and headhunt through LinkedIn. And this is how they find designers. And usually your portfolio is on LinkedIn or wherever they can find, and they're specifically looking for topics that would intrigue them or interest them enough to actually message you. So work that stands out, some stuff that is relevant to the job description, keeping in mind that you are designing in a way that even someone that isn't a specialist can understand. And this is essential because it's not just the recruiter. It might be leadership or someone that you need to show your designs and actually make them understand from that level. So keeping the clarity and the structure must be clear. The personal touch also feeds into work that stands out. You can show a lot of personality through the work that you are designing. And then also whether you're going to be a culture fit. And this can definitely be shone through the work that you do. The designer is also a really important stakeholder in this whole field, because these are essentially the people that you'll be working with. It's not limited to designers. There's also engineers. It could pass through project managers, various different people, but you don't actually know. So you need to almost assume in a way, the way that you design, who's going to be looking at your work. So showing UI skills, showing attention to detail, showing the role that and the impact you make within the realm of the design system space organization. These are the people that you'll be collaborating with, and showing how you collaborate with, who you work with, makes you a better team worker and someone that wants you on the team to work with them. This also ties into how you explain your design processes if you do critiques in any way. Another important stakeholder is the hiring manager. And this is essentially someone who looks for very specific skill sets. So depending on the role and what they are wanting to do, you need to showcase many different skills and specifically also maybe tailor your case studies in a way that speaks to the hiring manager. So this is prioritization, communication. Are you aligning with company goals? Are you actually setting OKRs for yourself? Are you meeting those goals? How are you measuring the impact of your design and your solution? And these will come to play in whether they're going to hire you or not. So coming back to some case study ideas. it can be as easy as just building one component. So this is an example I created of a date picker. And it might look simple, but a date picker is actually very complicated to design and also to implement in code. So I chose the date picker as an example because it is interactive. I had quite a lot of fun. There's a lot of states, there's different things to include in this date picker and to consider. You can also change the dates. There's different states that happen. So there's a big story that can actually be told through this one component. So when you are creating a case study with just one component, make sure to make it fun. If you are not enjoying it, how must the person viewing your project enjoy it too? So make it interactive. This also can then tie into your technical skills and your technical understanding of the implementation. Are you just handing it over, or are you collaborating with engineers from the get-go? And these are definitely points that matter to the people who are viewing your case study. I also recommend recording your entire journey. So when you are creating your component, record the journey. Make sure that it tells a story. Record your failures, your challenges, what you learned, what didn't work. And these different topics can create a beautiful story that is intriguing and also intuitive. So using the same case study, you can then go and create the date picker, and you can implement tokens. And this can be your next case study using the same component. So tokens in itself is a whole different realm. As the previous session, you must have learned quite a lot, and there's a lot to apply, and there's a lot that you can tell through implementing tokens. So definitely also showing, not teaching, how to implement tokens is essential. I often see case studies where designers are trying to sort of teach the viewer what a primitive is, what a semantic is, what a token is. And to be honest, companies don't care, to be honest. They just want to see what the impact of the tokens are. What do? They don't really care about the technical parts. They just want to see, cool, you understand tokens and what impact is it making to the system. And again, recording your mistakes, recording how you implemented it, recording what you should have done in future, what you actually learned. So definitely showing your deeper understanding of tokens. It can go as deep as theming it, multi-branding, showing this in videos or in GIFs, definitely making it a little bit interactive also brings it to life. And thirdly, another sort of idea that you can go with is creating a process, a 0-to-1 process. And this is as simple as giving the deeper understanding from a bird's eye view of what a design system is. So giving context about the system and how you are actually creating an MVP. It can be any system. I'm going to use an MVP as an example. So giving a bit of context about the company, about what the actual issue is. What is the problem? What are you actually trying to solve? And you're almost trying to sort of give more information about why they need to hire you. So giving some context, explaining the problems and the core issues is essential. So having the different problems and focusing on how you're going to solve them is basically the entire story that you can tell. As you can see, storytelling is a theme in all these topics. And this is essentially how you can almost stay focused and what are you trying to say, instead of trying to bounce from, cool, I made a component, I implemented tokens, and then this is how, we're going to push it to designers. And that's almost like 3 stories in itself. And I often see it cross over. So keeping to the problem and the core issue that you are facing. And then the key decisions. And this is the different stakeholders that you worked with. Who did you cross over with? Which sort of designers did you work with? Did you deal with engineers? How are they using tokens in their system? And these are just essentially the key decisions that you are making as a designer to showcase what the impact will be. So these decisions always come with challenges. And this also showcases your problem-solving skills. And this is something that you can focus on as well, is having a few problem cases and challenges and how you solved them. So was it a theming issue? Was it a multi-brand issue? Was it even coming up with the naming systems? It can be multiple different challenges, but also diving deep in one and staying focused is essential to show that you have a deeper understanding and you can problem solve to the core. Next is the impact that you are making. How are you adding value to that company? How is the design system and the investment they're putting into the team going to actually put an impact at scale? And this is definitely something about measuring. We're also going to have some talks about how you can measure design systems and ROI and things like that, how are you actually going to make sure that hiring you is a good decision? And then, of course, your outcomes and learnings. So making sure that you are recording what you have learned. And people love to see not just the outcomes of things, but love to also see the failures, because you can only really learn once you fail. So keeping that in mind, that failing and things is definitely not a shortcoming. And it also creates an engaging story, as I said. So I've been reading a book called Articulating Design Decisions. And this is definitely a quote that stood out to me. And being thoughtful about a problem and articulating your solution is more important than the ability to design. And coming to design systems is definitely a big part that design falls into. But a bigger part is actually the people, the community, the maintaining, the documentation, the communication, the advocating. There's such a big part of design systems other than the design part. And that's it, that design is only about 30% of the job. So first impressions matter. It doesn't matter how great your website has been designed. And I often see this where websites are really pretty and really impressive, and they've got these amazing pop-ups and animations. But when it comes down to the case study, a lot of the attention to detail and the care has kind of fallen apart. So definitely starting at your case study and then focusing on your website is definitely a good point of which you can start. Making a first good impression is essential, because imagine I am the recruiter and I am jumping into this project and this is what I see. I don't really understand what I'm talking about. I know like a day picker is kind of like a component. Maybe it's a calendar, maybe not. There's some fancy words like design systems, design tokens. I can definitely see what your role is, but it doesn't really have that much impact, even though it's nicely designed. So definitely focusing on the execution and showing what you're going to show. So this is about a date picker in a calendar scheduling tool. And it's about implementing tokens to improve the date picker's UX. You already get the context, and then you also see the execution. Your landing page of your case study is definitely in the make or break, whether someone's going to either exit, close the tab, or continue reading, or to go and find another project that you did. And if your cover page isn't that intriguing, it's definitely not going to excite anybody. Also remember that your portfolio is not your CV. So keeping your CV and your portfolio and what you're putting in your portfolio should be completely different. Even though you are locked in NDAs and things, you can always come up with some new ideas on things to implement. So this is definitely one case study that isn't real, but it can still give you an in-depth view of how you think as a designer and how you solve problems. Another classic thing that I see is having this linear processes. And it's starting with research, your planning, who you collaborated with, and it's building documentation and handoff. And as we all know, that there's not really any handoff phase. There is some communication that happens, but it actually never ends. You're never just going to say bye to that component and then it's done. You're always going to have to come back, reiterate. And a lot of the time, these linear processes are actually quite boring. So definitely keeping in mind that what you are trying to explain isn't just copy paste from all the case studies that you see on the internet. It is more in depth to your experience as a designer and your learnings. No one really gives, like, no one really cares that much about all these different parts about it. Rather focus in one area and show that you do apply some of these skills along the way, but you don't have to go in such a linear process to explain it. Like I mentioned, these linear processes definitely don't show any sort of collaboration. They don't show any iteration. Who are you working with? Where did things, start evolving? Where did you get feedback? And these are definitely parts that I often see get missed in portfolio case studies that can really sort of improve the experience of the viewer going through your portfolio. So stop making people guess. Honestly, like these screens, as you see them now, I'd love to see what you think this is, because often I see that these sort of screenshots of artboards and fig jams and things on screens, but no one knows what they are. No one is hiring you for sticky notes and no one is hiring you for frames. Honestly, like this makes no sense. So instead of zooming out and trying to show how many artboards you create, rather zoom inwards and show exactly what the problem is. So defining what the problem is, showing that this is a case study on a date picker and there are some inconsistencies. Even somebody that doesn't have a technical understanding can exactly see what this is. So making it interactive is definitely also a point that really helps with creating the story, creating the narrative, making it a bit exciting. Videos, maybe a little walkthrough session that isn't too long. I often see too many like walkthrough things and it's like 5 minutes is almost like too long. But introducing these sort of animations or videos definitely make it a lot more compelling to understand and also tells a lot of the story. So you can see exactly where the solution has been put in. And I always recommend when you are showing an image to always have some sort of context next to it so that with the image, you can read up what it is about and they sort of fit together nicely. And as you can see in this sort of viewport height of this mini screen I gotcha, you can see that there's no other information covering it up or hiding away. Like you can definitely just read and focus on that certain spot. And again, you can take it one step further with this whole token implementation, is showing how you can theme it. So it's not just making the consistency, but I'm also showing how you can theme it and definitely adding more video animations, make it a lot more interesting for the person who is viewing. And you can immediately see the impact, even though you don't fully understand, because dark mode might be something that they're looking for, but they're not really sure what to really look for in a case study. And visually representing it definitely makes it a lot more obvious on what you can bring to the table. So along with all the design, since that is a pretty small part of it, showing your craft is definitely important. And don't downplay the design, because building a component and understanding how it actually functions is a very big part of design systems visually, but also understanding the business side of it, how it actually makes impact. How does it fold into company goals? And these are also something that you can get from, let's say, ChatGPT, if you are creating, let's say, a fake project for your portfolio. Is sort of coming up with a business problem and then feeding ChatGPT with some ideas can definitely give you some inspiration on where to start. I would avoid just relying completely on ChatGPT and feeding you the answers, because that's definitely going to impact your interview. You're not really going to know what you're talking about. You're not really going to be thinking about these things on a deeper level. You need to treat it as a real project because it shows that you actually care and took the time. So these are just some quick examples on how to improve efficiency. And these are sort of terminology that you can use for leadership to understand. So it reduces design to dev cycle by 40%. And this also then increases time to market. And this is definitely a good metric to build on. And you can even use this as the problem statement for your case study and what you're trying to solve. Next, we have revenue impact. How does improving efficiency actually impact the revenue? So this then allows you to release more features and also increases conversion rates by 8%. This is definitely a different thing that you can speak about and how your problem sort of helped with this goal. You need to be a little bit goal related, because if you're not in the design system space, you're not really putting that much value to the business. So you need to show that you are making impact, not just on the design, not just for the designers, but for the business. Reducing risk. And this is definitely with like an accessibility acumen. And there's a lot of accessibility talks that I'm really looking forward to for the rest of the conference. But this is definitely something to consider. How is accessibility planned into your work? Are you doing an accessibility audit? Is this something that you're also considering in the design? In itself, this can be another sort of case study problem question on its own that you can tackle. These are just some ideas. There's definitely more things to add. So what happens next? And this comes back to that handoff process that never really ends. So understanding that it's not just a handoff process. Understand that it never ends. And you need to always get feedback on the things that you do. And it's important to show that you are wanting feedback, because this is how you improve your system. So looking at qualitative data, and this is user feedback. So how are you sort of gaining this information from the people that are using your design system or your components or whatever you are doing? And this is through surveys, for an example. So getting the user understanding what they need, understanding the pain points that they have, also adoption insights. Are they actually using the design system? I think another overlooked part about design system is cool. We have this epic component library, but how are teams actually using that? Are they actually working it into their roadmaps? Are they actually doing these things? And this is a really good way to understand what the pain points are and showing that you care from a user perspective, not customers, or also customers, but not specifically. You need to also understand that your users are designers and engineers, making it clear that you're creating a tool for them. So quantitative data, and this is measuring impact. Measuring is very important for a lot of companies. A lot of companies are metric driven, and definitely showing that you are sort of documenting and taking note of how much and how your components and solutions are impacting the company. And one way of that is tooling, whether it is storybook component usages, whether it's Figma Analytics as a designer, even that is good enough, or customer paid tools. Not every project gets measured. Not everyone has, the time or at the stage of measuring impact. But in a case study, it is always good to even show that you are thinking about these things. You don't have to actually do them, but it's just making sure that the person who is viewing your case study understands that you understand and thinking about these things. So making sure that you are even mentioning some of the tools that you would use. Maybe this can be part of what happens next in your case study, and showcasing that you are thinking about these different aspects. And team support is very important. Having a community and creating a community within your organization with component designs is definitely a place where is much needed. Like, you definitely can't have a successful design system if you don't have people using it. So creating a community and showing that you will be doing office hours, showing that you'll be doing workshops and training. Maybe you want to do an onboarding program if it is like a MVP design system that you created and you want new joiners to jump on board and learn more about it. Also the support channels. How are you supporting people? Are you creating processes in Slack? Are you creating processes in Jira? How are you tracking these different things? And these are definitely important aspects that the person that is viewing your case study might overlook, but didn't know they needed. So making sure that you are sort of creating the space, especially for the designer or engineer, communication is really important. So here's some parts of case studies that I definitely often see. And there are some things to avoid and some that I recommend. And definitely avoiding over designing. So it's great to have a website that has personality, but try and avoid bringing too much personality into the case studies. A lot of the time, these sort of random elements don't really tie into the rest of the story that you are telling. It also becomes a little bit overwhelming for the person viewing your case study, especially when you have animations. It's just a lot. So be clear if you are wanting to put in personality or put in sort of, showcase your design skills. Definitely focus more on what you are actually showing. Put more effort and time into that component, into that visual element that you are trying to explain your problem. And this will make it clear, will definitely articulate the design that you are showing much, much better, and also make it a little bit obvious what the focal point is. So keeping focus, making sure that your content is properly set out, keeping hierarchy of text and information is definitely essential to create a nice flowing case study. I might get some heat for this one, but hear me out. So only relying on password protected projects. So I've actually spoken to quite a few project managers that hire and hiring managers, and pretty much like all of them kind of said that they don't really reach out to people. Maybe some do if the project is that intriguing, but definitely all the ones that I spoke to, this is definitely a pet hate. So only focusing on project password protected projects can definitely be a downfall for your ability to even get an email or get an interview. So hiding things, from my perspective, definitely gives a sense of like, what are you hiding? What is there that you cannot show? Are you breaching an NDA that you signed? A lot of, projects are under NDA, and usually companies do give permission, and that is totally fine. If they do give permission and you can showcase your work behind a password, like totally do that. But I do recommend staying away from only password protected. It creates a really bad user experience, firstly, and secondly, you just leading them out of your project, that they need to go and make so much more effort to try and contact you. But if you do have password protected projects, it's quite a tongue twister. You at least show a signal, like at least inform the viewer, like, hey, please contact me for a password. There's something like, whatever the case may be, I don't know. But in this case, like, at least have some projects that they can go and have a look at that's not locked behind passwords. Staying on this page, so having a clear view for your card that shows your projects, to definitely focus more on the sort of key points of what you're going to be showing. If it's tokens, if it's a component implementation, if it's something like, zoom in rather than out. There's nothing worse than seeing the screen or put into like a mock-up and no one can actually see what's going on. All they see is this like Mac laptop. So definitely be more focus on what you're trying to show and try and get the viewer excited to actually want to click through your work. This is definitely a new trend that I've seen, and it's having your projects click out to the actual company that you worked for. I personally don't see the point in it, and it's just immediately clicking away from your work. Once they click out of here, they have to like manually go and find your projects again. So relying only on company names to land you jobs is definitely something that's going to be a shortfall in your career growth. Like, it doesn't show who you worked with, how you solve problems. It doesn't show, how you actually problem solving or how you building. You can't even see what part of the project you worked on. So definitely, if this is something that you are focusing on, I definitely relook your approach and making more compelling stories to show what you have brought to the table, show what you have worked on, or what you can do at least. So one of the things that I highly recommend is getting testimonials. So working at companies, especially that you need NDAs and you cannot actually show the work, you will need some way to get some validation over what are you doing. So let's say you're creating a fake project about a certain topic, and for that company, you're not allowed to actually you do it. And you create a fake project to show what you did that's completely different branded, completely unrelated to what you did there. At least have like your manager or some feedback. Maybe you had some peer feedback on one-on-one sessions or the regional feedbacks that they do. You can take some snippets from those and put them in your portfolios. Keeping track of the engineers you worked with, the designers, there's no like harm in asking like, hey, do you mind giving me a testimonial? I would like to, have some validation over the work I did. And it definitely speaks loud. It definitely gives more validation about the work that you did there. So the key takeaways. So one, don't let NDAs hold you back. Don't let them get you down, and don't let people get you down. Don't let anyone demotivate you. Keep focus, have a goal in mind. If you want to be a design system specialist, go get it. Like, don't let those NDAs stay in your way. And use your creativity. Like, you are a designer at the end of the day. It's literally what you do. So you should be thinking out of the box. You should be, being creative, making it fun. Sometimes the projects that we actually work on are boring. So having something that you can create yourself and you don't have limitations on is way more exciting in many regards. And one way of doing that is keeping fake projects, or you can then do freelance work, or just if you can, like, get permission to actually show the work that you did for that company. 2 is keep your stakeholders in mind when you are designing your case study. So have a target audience, remember who you're designing for, touch the different points, almost design it for design systems for dummies. It might seem so obvious, but in many cases, the people looking at your work don't actually understand. So make it easy to understand, because these will also show good quality skills that you can do presentations for people who are not that technical in the company. 3 is remember the basics. Like, it's so easy to forget about the basics when you're so focused on one idea. So remember the basics. Remember your typography. Remember, making it accessible, making it user-friendly, making your entire website easy to use, keeping in mind these like dark patterns with the password protect, coming back to adding signals and stuff. These are definitely things that can improve the user experience of your case study. Make it interactive as well. Make it exciting, add some flair. There's so many cool tools out there now that can animate your work and make them pop out. Like the animations that I did on the screen literally took me a few minutes. It didn't even take me that long, but it adds just like a little bit extra than just having a static image. And then lastly, just chill. Be patient. Gain some product design experience before just jumping into a design system role. I definitely do think it's a little bit of a struggle when designers don't have the skill base of these user experience and customer relationships that they've gained through their products, and understanding features from that point of view, and then just straight up jumping in the technical part. Like, your time will come if you really want to be a system designer. Be patient, take the time to learn, take your time to understand things properly. It took me about, I think it was like just over a year of being a product designer. Well, I was a product designer for about 5 years, but it took me from the transition stage of deciding I wanted to be a systems designer. It took me about a year of working after hours, attending meetings, attending conferences, and all these things to understand design systems to the core. And then just start. The only thing that's keeping you back is yourself, to be honest. So you've got ChatGPT to give you some ideas. You've got all these tools who also have free options and starter options for you to host your sites. I actually applied to my first design system role with a Figma file that wasn't even responsive at the time. Now with sites, you can make it more responsive and all these things. And I landed the job. So at the end of the day, it just shows that you can land a design system job if you just have a really good case study. And Nasi, thank you so much for attending Into Design Systems. I'm so stoked that the lineup looks amazing, and I'm so excited to learn more. And I'm so pumped that there's so many people attending this year. And if you want to contact me, you got the QR code for LinkedIn. I also made a design system resource website for newbies that are entering the design system space that want to have access to some of the resources that I used and collected to become a specialist of my own. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Justine. This was amazing. And I think that now it will be really easy to build portfolios after all your tips. And if I can echo another takeaway is that nobody's hiring you because of your sticky notes. But yeah, people have a lot of questions. We cannot go through all of them right now, but I will just take 2 or 3 before we end. So one of the most upvoted questions is, how can I better communicate the design system impact on my portfolio in terms of metrics? You touched a little bit about it, but what's your take on this?
Yeah, so I think focusing on the company goal and focusing on what the actual point of what you are doing, and try and break it down into parts on what you're trying to solve. And these different challenges, you can also break it down into different impact points. What are you trying to measure? Are you trying to measure adoption of your, let's say, date picker component that you built? Are you trying to see how many times it's being used in Figma? Are you trying to see what customer, the end user complaints are, how their feedback? A good quality that we have at Stripe is that we haven't won yet. And this is definitely a principle that I like to use, because celebrating too early also shows that, there could be some feedback that comes back that might not be so good. So making sure that the different metrics that you show play into what you're trying to solve. So like I also mentioned, you can focus a lot about the different tools and how you are using them. There's so many tools out there like Armlet, like Figma Analytics, and you can almost like break down into those tools and select different sort of things that might fit better with the type of goal that you are reaching and impact that you're trying to make. So zooming in, not out. Don't just show a screenshot of, hey, Figma Analytics. Be like, this is the point that I would like to focus on because it makes this impact, for example.
You can just make a hockey stick graph, So the second question is, what's the biggest mistake early career design system designer can make in their portfolios?
Definitely teaching what tokens are. Like showing, I mean, you can find that online anyway. And this is definitely something that I see as only focusing on tokens, only focusing on the build of it or the design of it. Always keep in mind who you are designing for. Like I mentioned, those 3 stakeholders. You need to have some sort of impact, making sure that you have challenges and showing that how you are showing those challenges. Often I see designers focus so more on the design aspects and trying to explain what tokens are, trying to explain what they're trying to do, rather than showing how they are actually solving problems. And this is definitely something that is very overlooked. So I always feel like a good number is about 2 to 3 challenges that you can mention in your case study. Or if you have one big challenge and you can dive really deep into it, that's definitely one. Another one, sorry, is actually working on too many points at once. So jumping from a component build, then you implemented tokens for it, and then you documented it, and that's it. Like those are almost 3 different sort of case studies just piled into one, and it lacks storytelling. It lacks how you actually, the technical impact of it, the thought behind it, how you're making decisions. So focus on one topic and stick to it.
Awesome tip. Yeah. So one really amazing question I think we can all relate is, how are you making your video animations or interactive elements? How did you do it for your portfolio, or what's your take on that?
So I used a tool called Jitter. You actually can do free ones, animations that you can do. They a little bit like low quality, but they're good enough to tell the story if you want to. So obviously designed it in Figma, and then I did some prototyping as well. So some of them are screen recordings that I did and showing the animations, and I clipped them out and I just put them into the Figma slide. And then the other actual animations that are popping out and stuff, I use Jitter.
Oh, great. Yeah, Jitter is an amazing tool. Really easy to start using it, right? All right. Thank you so much, Justine. Your talk was awesome. I think we can all start improving our portfolios tomorrow or even this evening. So thanks so much for your contribution and everything that you're doing for the design systems community.
Cool. Thank you so much. It was so nice to share my thoughts, share my experience, and hopefully I helped a few designers out there. Also on Slack, I've created a Slack channel called Portfolio Sharing. So please post your portfolios there if you want me to have a look at it, or even get others to look at it, and maybe we can create a little community where we can give each other feedback and grow together.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to share. We will help each other, right? Thank you. Bye.
Bye.